Hello everyone, the old guy here. I'm going to be talking about some old news. This is a segment where I talk about some older albums that have either been brought to my attention or that I've known about and really want to talk about. Today's album is My Bloody Valentine's Loveless. My Bloody Valentine is a band I've been struggling with since I began diving deeper into music. It was one of my first albums that I heard once I made that decision to broaden my horizons. I don't really have much to say that hasn't been said a million times about the band, how they innovated the genre, their production is amazing, and all of that. I don't have much to say about that because I don't really believe or feel any of those feelings when I listen to it. I've heard this album about 6 or 7 times all the way through since I found it, and every single time I get the exact same feeling. That these are some of the most generic and boring sounding pop songs lathered in just effects. That's all I get from it. Yes, I know this makes me sound like some kind of old grandpa who doesn't get the shoegaze, but I have to be honest here. I get that this was very new and interesting when it came out, but pretty much every shoegaze album I've heard that came after beats it by a large margin. Albums like Souvlaki and Death Consciousness blow this album out of the water and are just as accessible and even more revealing of what the genre has to offer. I do think influence is important and context is a very good thing to consider when talking about and appreciating a record. And experimentation is also a very key thing in the art of music. The problem I have with Loveless is that it's all experimentation with no structure. Even some of the biggest fans of this album that I know admit that the songs aren't well made, but the atmosphere is where it's at. But I don't buy it, especially when the production on this thing isn't all that amazing. The distortion on this album is way too chunky and lo-fi. The billions of layers of the guitar pedals completely wash out any sense of feeling that I could get from this record. And overall, I just can't get into it. After so many times listening, people will always tell me to listen to it again. It will click. What I have to say to that is that it has clicked. I completely get this record. I just really don't enjoy it. One of the only songs I can really get into on this record is I Only Said, which has this cute little feedback line that occasionally gets stuck in my head. But the rest of that song is mind-bendingly boring. It's the same thing over and 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 over again. It gives me a fucking headache. Overall, I just don't really like this album at all. I chose to review this as one of my first so I can get used to talking about records I don't care for, just for when more of them come to me in the future. If you love this album, I'm very glad you do. I believe any piece of art deserves to be loved by some rather than hated. But there really is no convincing for me at this point that this album is profound when it really isn't. It's like 11 soulless Nickelback songs deep fried into one chunky, incoherent mess. And to be clear, I love noise music. I'm not one of the most diverse and knowledgeable in the genre, but acts like Merzbow, Sonic Youth, and hell, even elements of my own music draw from noise. I just think Loveless is very uninteresting noise. I'm feeling a 3.0 on this album. Thank you so much for watching this quick review or rant on this album here. If you love it, I would love to hear why, and if you hate it, I would love to hear why too. Thank you so much for watching.